In 1989, filmmaker Walter Hill's Johnny Handsome was released into cinemas with not a lot of fanfare. The mixed reviews and lack of box office had it labeled a failure of sorts in Hill's filmography. However, I think it's one of his more misunderstood films, and I'm not saying it's too deep or anything like that, just the contrary. It's a simple, pure revenge story highlighted by an understated lead performance by Mickey Rourke, and a slew of memorable supporting performances by Ellen Barkin, Lance Henrickson, Forrest Whitaker, Elizabeth McGovern, Morgan Freeman, and of course the great Scott Wilson. Johnny Handsome is set in New Orleans and tells the tale of a disfigured man, John, played by Rourke, who with his best friend and mentor Mickey are double-crossed and left for dead during a bank robbery by fellow robbers Sonny and Rafe, played deliciously by Barkin and Henrickson. Johnny, however, survives, but his mentor Mickey, played by Scott Wilson, does not. Johnny has the good fortune to be the recipient of a new state-of-the-art face reconstruction project by a doctor played by Forrest Whitaker. Over the course of the operations, Johnny is given a new face and a new life, but a cop, played by Morgan Freeman, knows who the real Johnny is and keeps close tabs on his goings-on. Johnny meets a girl played by a very Cajun Elizabeth McGovern and sets a new course on life, while still mourning the death of his friend Mickey. One day he decides to use his new face and identity to get revenge against Sonny and Rafe. He tricks them into a new robbery attempt, while Freeman is hot on his heels and wise to the scheme. This film rocks right out the gate. Director Hill bathes this film in New Orleans slime, if you will. It's moody as hell, and the vibes are thick. Hill uses all sorts of wide angles and puts them right in the face of the actors to give you this almost claustrophobic feel of being in the action with them. It works well, and it lets the actors do their best work. It also kind of made me wonder if the wide angles were a tribute to John Frankenheimer's film Seconds, which has a kind of similar theme and also used the ultra-wide angles in a similar fashion. Mickey Rourke was at the height of his powers here, but he delivers a very somber performance, more than you would expect. He gets to play two characters here on the outside, but ultimately the same on the inside, and he does an amazing job at both of them.
Sounds like he's already got a bag on his head. A scumbag.
The performance by Ellen Barkin is perhaps my favorite here. She plays evil so damn well, and is double-crossing everyone she comes into contact with. And the way she says the word geek just cuts through you like a hot knife.
What kind of fun you have in mind, geek? Huh? Geek? Once a geek, always a geek.
Barkin said she wanted to play the part because Sonny is just plain mean. Henrickson is good as always as the bad guy, and also has some great lines of dialogue. He even went on to play another New Orleans villain a few years later in John Woo's Hard Target. Ry Cooder's music score for this film is outstanding. It's long been on my playlist of favorite scores. I listen to it all the time when I need some inspiration. For me, I think it could possibly be one of his very best. I'm not sure why this movie didn't hit with audiences at the time. It seems to fit into that late 80s action genre feel. This is a great revenge film that lets the audience into Johnny's shoes very easily. But Johnny himself is a criminal through and through, and maybe that's why audiences didn't identify with him as a protagonist in the era of Rambo and Beverly Hills Cop. You feel for him, but at the same time, he may not be the guy you would want to come to your aid. And the ending is not pretty. Its moral is violence begets more violence, no matter how drastic you change your life, or even your face. The insides are still the same, and that's probably another reason it possibly didn't hit with an 80s audience. Interestingly enough, both Richard Gere and Al Pacino were both signed on to this at one point before Hill took the directing reins. I have to say, I'd really like to see an Al Pacino-Walter Hill collaboration. Hey, it could still happen. Hey, this is a revenge tale set in a gothic-feeling New Orleans, and it's just fun as hell. I would have loved to have seen a sequel to this film, where Johnny goes to extract revenge in a new city a la Death Wish with his doctor in tow, and he changes his face into a different actor in each sequel, but in the end we'll just have to settle for this entry. This film deserves better, and hopefully more will stumble across it and see why there's a strong case for it. I really like it.
You people did a terrific job.